Hey everyone, Dan here. We are in the Power Hour of Wednesday, June 16th. Today we're going to take a look at CLNE, Clean Energy Fuel. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also feel free to comment below with thoughts, opinions, ideas, questions, tickers I should cover, whatever. I look at those every night, though I may be a few days delayed getting back to you if I get a little bit behind. All right, let's jump right in. So CLNE has been on my radar for a while, initially because when the new administration came in, there's some folks, one in particular close to the president on some sort of like council or advisory role or something, or secretary of something that is also on the board of clean energy. I believe that's the connection. You could fact check that, of course, but it obviously had a pretty hard time during the beginning of the year, but a bunch of growth stocks did, as you know. So I wanted to take a revamped look at it, see where it is today. You know, it has had some swings recently. It's drawn the attention of some of the Reddit's Wall Street Bets crowd, and that's always interesting to kind of dig into what might be going on there. So as we look at today, you know, it's been struggling a bit today, though it's coming back at the moment in the afternoon, starting to make some higher lows. So it could be forming a channel here, which would be nice to see. But today is also the day when, you know, the Fed said that, you know, inflation is going to be about 1% higher than expected. And also there's a growing chance that rates are going to raise next year. And so that's spooking a bunch of the market and causing just a bunch of the market to sell off. So, if we look at like SPY here, you know, it took this enormous downturn earlier in the day. QQQ, same thing. So everything's just kind of like following this major news of the day. So it's just kind of one of those days where a lot of stocks aren't acting super independently. And of course, the growth stocks are still getting hit the hardest. Whereas, you know, indices are down like fractions of a percent, and this is down over 5%. So, and that's even after this, you know, afternoon rally right now. But, it does look like it could be a good dip buying opportunity to me. So I thought it was probably pretty good timing to jump in. So let's plot some price targets to either look for dip buying potential or dip buying, like bounce strength buying, or, you know, potentially trimming or profit taking on the upside. So here we see the last 3 months or so, it had a high up here close to 17. Before that was close to 20, but that was toward the beginning of the year. When the new administration came in, there was, you know, obviously a bunch of buying that came in, about doubled the price of clean energy, and then it had this pretty rapid sell-off, which cut the price back in half, basically. And since then, it's continued to struggle down as low as about 7.5 at one point, and then recently caught some attention and ran itself up to 2x. So it's definitely on a bit of a wild ride. But let's draw ourselves some price areas, and then we'll talk about, you know, how we might be able to think about or utilize these price areas. So I have one there at 958, and I'll work up from there. $10 on the spot. Let's throw one in right about here. Mid 10s. And then that's a pretty good one at 11. Nice, easy dollar amounts to remember when they're basically on the dollar point or the mid dollar point. Oh, look at that, right at 12. I promise I'm not trying to do this. It's very funny. But this is about where we are, I would say, for the near future. So that'll get us to 13. So I guess basically think on like the 50-cent mark and the dollar mark all the way up to 13. So basically, you know, we're getting these levels from previous support, previous resistance, previous support, So those zones that encompass previous support and resistance tend to be really strong supply and demand zones that the price will continue to respect even as time goes on. And so that's what all of these, moving up the price range account for. I could throw one on the lower side in case it does catch, another unfortunate wave. This might be a really good sort of bounce, like dip buying opportunity if it comes down that far. It's a little bit more of a falling knife situation, so it can be more challenging, but I would look for that. But for me, immediate support zone, I would look right about where it is right now. This is 1057 that I have charted, and the price is at 1059 at the moment. So the other way, if you haven't watched my other videos, and if you have, just take this as a moment to, I don't know, grab a snack or or just re-listen to this. But if you're looking for, with this recent selling off, looking for something like CLNE to show some price strength before taking a position versus trying to catch a falling knife, what you can do is wait for it to come up until, I would just set yourself a target. I'm looking for it to show 50 cents worth of price strength. It's probably going to be a small number because the price of the stock is so small, but look for it to come up and, say you're saying, okay, if it can make an attempt at 12, then I will think about buying into that price strength. So let's say it comes up toward 12, doesn't quite make it, starts to feel the selling pressure at 12, folks taking profit, and then you look for the dip coming down to the next support level, which is this 145 zone. So say it comes down to about 155, 160, and you start averaging in. And then maybe it even comes down and comes to the next support level down. So maybe you average down to 1106, set yourself a really tight stop loss underneath of maybe 1 ATR below 1106. So that you're going to hop out quickly in case, the dip buy doesn't occur. But the hypothesis is basically, hit one of these resistance points on the way up or several of these on the way up. And then as it, sort of reacts from that resistance and comes down to the the demand zone below it, which is a support zone, you could buy that support and assume that it's going to bounce back up. But of course, that assumption could fail, and that's why you set yourself a nice tight stop loss underneath. So hopefully that makes sense. But these are the price targets that I would be looking for. And these are very valid even today. So even though we're on like a 3-month time frame, even if you're doing a shorter term position, I think that these price targets are most valuable because it accounts for several price periods throughout the stock's history, and it tends, and all stocks really tend to support or respect these price zones for lengthy periods of time. So it's, in my opinion, it's more advantageous to look at lengthier periods of time, even if you're short-term trading, set your price zones, and then you can zoom in and sort of see what's happening with the price activity in a shorter term time frame. But I would keep the price targets based on the longer term price action. So if we also wanted to take a look quickly at the indicators, the RSI at the moment, relatively low, so could bring some good buying pressure in, and that's even with a big green candle here, but was nearly oversold, at about 130 today. So that could bring in some good buying pressure, and we might see like an overall market rally in this power hour since there was so much selling off today. There's a bunch of deals. I was starting this video a little late actually today because I was doing some shopping of my own from funds that I had set aside earlier in the week, expecting that today might yield some good deals in the market. But anyway, the MACD, below the baseline, starting to curl over, potentially making a bullish cross. Whether it can rival anything like the big rally that brought it up to this price point is to be seen. The steeper the crossover, the better. So I would keep an eye out for that. On the MA side of things, definitely have support here at the 200. Going to have some resistance as it tries to cross over the 20 and the 50, but if we can get that 20 crossing over the 50 sooner than later, that'll help as well. If it could hit that 50 resistance before the 20 resistance, that'll be a little bit more promising. Okay. Let's zoom in a bit, and then we'll take a quick look at some data that I think is probably just worth keeping an eye on. you know, as I was playing clean earlier in the year, I definitely noticed that it does tend to create and then fill gaps. So this gap has been filled, obviously, and then this recent gap has also been filled. Well, there might still be some room for filling here in the like mid 11. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see kind of a quick run up to about 1160 before getting some pushback toward that 1145. So that might be, a good potential dip buy into price strength opportunity on that one. The other thing would be to see it break this downtrend that it had been on. I think it's going to be, it's going to be closer to here. So if it can continue to get some distance from that downtrend that it was stuck under, basically like a down channel here, that'll be good as well. And it's establishing nicely at the moment at that 1057 support level. So if that continues to hold, it could be a good sign. I would keep an eye out to make sure it doesn't just kind of quickly top out at this zone right now, which is where it's where the price action is at the moment, because that could certainly push it back down, give it a quick test of that 1057. And I definitely wouldn't say that it's established at the 1057 yet. So it might still fall back through, or might test it again and have a nice bounce off and head toward that $11 mark. All right, so quickly on the short data side of things, there's not a ton of short pressure coming in to clean at the moment. When there was that big run up, though, there was. You see these days where the short volume ratio is in the high 20s and definitely in the 30s. You have a couple of days here on the 3rd and the 4th, and a couple of days here on the 9th and the 10th. So 3rd and the 4th and the 9th and the 10th. If we scroll back and see what's happening, just so you know what you might be able to expect in the future. 3rd and the 4th, so you had this big run up here in the 3rd, so a bunch of shorts started to come in, maybe helped push it down here at that price point, and then retail pushed it up, or institutions or whomever pushed it up again. Bunch of shorts poured in on this date, probably resulting in losing basically all of those gains that it had accomplished the day before. And then the 9th and the 10th, so we see here on the 9th, big run up started to bring in some shorts, run up as market opened as well, and again into close, and then shorts piling on the following day to push it down quite a bit further. So while there's not sort of like a bunch of ongoing shorts that are participating in clean, as far as I can tell, it does look like on run-ups, they do tend to come in quite quickly and have been having an effect recently. So I don't know if a bunch piled in here on the 14th. A little bit of an uptick in the 20s is relatively significant, but really like mid to high 20s and 30s, of course, is much more impactful. So they're sort of hanging around from, the recent run up around these periods, but I would just keep an eye on it. Just know that shorts are going to be coming in, so just watch out for that sort of manipulation or selling pressure to come in when clean does have these big run-ups, because clearly shorts have their eye on it because it's lined up really succinctly in the past. All right, well, that'll do it for this video. Good luck if you're in this one. I wish you the best, and I hope your trading week is going well. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.